Welcome back to the Lumi Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today I'm going to be talking about my experience watching through the original series, that is from Pokemon I Choose You, all the way through Hoenn Alone. This is going to be just a bonus video on this channel. I'm not expecting this to get a lot of views, because it's about the anime, and we don't typically touch on that unless we're using it for a theory on here, but, you know, first time for everything. I enjoy the anime a lot. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about, it's going to be a rant, so very minimal editing in here, but just wanted to talk about my thoughts on it. So, I decided to, after Ash was announced to, be leaving the anime at the end of Pokemon Journeys, or rather, aim to be a master when he left at the end of that, I decided that I was going to, go back and watch his travels from the very first episode, and I've done that, and I'm up through... I'm actually, right now, at the time of recording, I just finished watching him catch a Tailo over in Pokemon Advanced. But, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on the original series, mainly all good. First off, I will say, I came up with a lot of really cool theories, and that video will be either out before this or out soon. Either way, though, I'll have it linked right here whenever it is out, whether it's before now or not, so be sure to check that out. But, yeah, so first off, I will say I watched the specials and the movies through the original series as well. So that is the Mewtwo movie, which is Mewtwo Strikes Back. I watched Mewtwo Returns, you can kind of count as a movie, I don't know. But I watched Pokemon the Movie 2000, which is the one with Lugia, The Spell of the Unknown, Forever, and Heroes, which is Latios and Latias, and Forever's the one with Celebi. And I gotta say, of all those, in my opinion, the first movie is not that good. It's not. It's very nostalgic, and so I think a lot of people like it because it's very nostalgic. But, yeah, and I did a whole Twitter thread on kind of the bullet points of this, but I wanted to do a deeper dive into it and why I felt that way. The first movie was a little boring to me. I know. I just lost half my subscribers. I'm aware. But yeah, that's my honest opinion. First movie's kind of boring. I think that we just all have a lot of nostalgia for it. And, because it's a big deal, right? For that to be the first one. I can only imagine being a kid and seeing Pokemon's making a movie. I mean, the closest thing I felt to that, because I was not alive when this happened, but I remember when Detective Pikachu was being made, not the game, but the movie, and that was a big deal because it was a live-action Pokemon movie, and starring, pretty big actors. You have Ryan Reynolds, who, is in so many things. He's Deadpool. You have Catherine Newton, who is now our Cassie Lang in the MCU. You have... I am completely blanking on the boy's name. I literally just had it, but he's also in the Jurassic World movies, so another big character, or big actor, rather. So, it was a big deal. Also, Barbossa's in it. I'm getting sidetracked. So I can only imagine how big the first movie was, but honestly, plot-wise, it's just meh. I do think there's also probably a lot of it of, like, I'm not crazy about Mewtwo. I think it's cool. It's not, it's not one of my favorite legendaries. I don't have anything against it. There's just some that I'm passionate about, and Mewtwo's not one of them. Then we get to Pokemon the Movie 2000. That was incredible. Though my rankings would be, Heroes would be just for these first 5, so I'm not counting anything after Heroes yet. Number 1, Heroes. I'll admit number 2 is probably tied with Heroes, but I have a lot of nostalgia for Heroes. As a kid, I rented Heroes from Blockbuster every chance I could. That's a throwback, Blockbuster. But big fan of Pokemon Heroes. Love Latios and Latias. They are some of, if not the number 1 favorite legendary Pokemon for me. Then we have... at number 2, Spell of the Unknown. Again, just as good as Heroes. Just Heroes takes it a little bit for me for my number 1 spot. But I would never judge someone for saying Spell of the Unknown is their favorite, because that movie is epic. The Return of Charizard. Oh, mwah, like, amazing movie. Then I would do the Lugia movie, Pokemon the movie 2000. It's great. I almost said Mugia. Lugia. I love it. It's one of my favorite legendaries. It is my favorite box legendary. So Lugia is definitely a big win to me. And it was also cool having this whole Chosen One plot. Those movies are always fun. Then I would put Forever next. It's a good movie. It's not anything crazy special. I love the lore stuff of how, he's encountering a young Samuel Oak. But, that's the thing, is this movie, I was more enjoying the character stuff going on rather than the Pokemon stuff. And in a franchise called Pokemon, I feel like the Pokemon should be the thing I'm more excited about. So that's why it's number 4. And then lastly, again, Mewtwo Strikes Back. It's a movie. It's not bad. It's not good. Yeah. So another thing I wanted to get into is I'm curious how many errors in the anime are the English dub's fault, like just a translation's fault, or if they're in the original Japanese thing. Like, one thing is that Misty says that Furret is a ground type. That would probably be my biggest example of it, is that Misty says Furret is a ground type. And I wonder if that's in the original or not. I know that's a stupid thing to hone in on, but it is. Another thing, really weird thing that I noticed was that they're kind of inconsistent with the character names. So in Raikou and the Legend of Thunder, which takes place after the episode, I believe it's after Ash's gym battle against... No, it's right after Ash hatches Phanpy, is where Raikou and the Legend of Thunder was released. And this follows Jimmy, Marina, and Vincent. And they meet a guy who we had already met in the anime. He walks into the room, you're like, it's Eugene. He's like, hi there, I'm Eugene. And it's like, oh, his name's Eugene now. Okay. So that was kind of weird. And then we see later on at the Pokemon League, at the Silver Conference, Ash actually battles Vincent. Except now his name is Jackson. And he looks at the camera and he says, just want to say hi. I think the names are Denny, or maybe it's Danny, and Yoshi, which I assume is supposed to be Marina and Jimmy. So I just want to know why Eugene went from Eugene to Eugene, and then freaking Ethan went to Jimmy and then went to Yoshi, and Marina went to Danny. I think it was Danny. But yeah, that was weird. I don't understand that. I want answers. Probably will never get them. So that kind of sucks. But then another critique of the original series. This isn't a critique. I'm not a big fan of Misty. And I feel like I'll get a lot of flack for that because Misty's the OG girl. We're all supposed to love her. I don't like her. She's a jerk. And I don't mean to Ash. I don't care. I know a lot of people hated Iris because of the whole, you're such a kid thing. People hated her because of that. And I didn't mind that too much. Sometimes it got annoying because I did a lot. But I didn't mind that too much because I'm like, they're both kids, and so they're going to act like that, Like, I have a 4-year-old brother, and if I refer to him as a baby, because he is the baby in my family, he'll be like, I'm not a baby, that's just kind of how kids are. So I don't mind that, but I don't like the way she treats her Pokemon. She's a jerk to Psyduck, she's a jerk to Politoed, after it evolves. She's nice to it as a Poliwag and Poliwhirl, but as a Politoed, she's a jerk to it. She's a jerk to other people's Pokemon. Like the whole Teddy Ursa episode, she was being really mean to Ash's Pokemon. So I don't care for that. But yeah, that's my take on Misty. I do think it was cool how you can actually see Misty's feelings for Ash progress. And that's something I didn't catch a lot as a kid. Like, as a kid, I felt like it was speculation. Like, it was like, does Misty like Ash? I felt like we speculated on it, but as an adult watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, she does. Like, it feels like in original series, she is pretty much, no feelings there. Like, she doesn't like him. But in Orange Islands, those feelings are like towards the end of this Indigo League into Orange Islands, there's starting to be feelings there, but she's not fully aware of it. And, things like the Lugia movie are making her more aware of it. And then I think that by the time they go to Johto, Misty is fully aware that she likes Ash, because she makes comments to Brock like, it's a lot easier liking someone who likes you back than it is to like someone who doesn't like you back. And Brock's like, how would you know? And she's like, and she's blushing. She's like, that's just what I've heard. I don't, so it's clear she likes him. Also, her reaction at the end when she thinks Ash is fine with just letting her go, and doesn't care that she has to go back to Cerulean City and become a gym leader. It's very clear she likes him, and I thought it was cute to see the progression between series. I really liked that touch. That was something I didn't notice as a kid. Now, here's the thing. If you haven't left this video before now, here you're going to. So, often there is talk about who Ash's ace is from each region. And I plan to, after I finish the whole series, which honestly, guys, there's over 1,000 episodes. That might not be until like 2025. I plan to do like a who is Ash's ace from each season. I plan to do a big dive into what truly his perfect team would be. But people say that Charizard is his Kanto ace, Heracross is his Johto ace. That's what I've seen a lot of. And I have to heavily disagree with that, because, first off, Charizard is not his Kanto ace. This is what Charizard did in Kanto. So as a Charmander, it did help with the battle against Koga. It was the reason Ash won that. So great. Thanks, Charmander. It also, as a Charizard, did defeat Blaine's Magmar. Magmar. So great job, Charizard. In the league, it was the reason he lost, because it wouldn't listen to him. Charizard did not do much in Kanto. It is literally not his Kanto ace. It's not. But it is his Johto ace. I firmly believe it's his Johto ace. It wins him his first gym badge. It comes back to save him from an Entei, who almost murdered him. And an Entei built by the Unknown. So actually more powerful than a regular Entei. And then it even comes back and wins him his 8th badge. So it won him his first and last badge in Johto. Then it comes into the league and defeats 3 of Gary's Pokemon, one of which was a Golem, and the other of which was a Blastoise and was Gary's ace. So Charizard is Ash's Johto ace. To be honest, I don't know why people say Heracross is his ace, because Heracross doesn't participate in any gym battle. So I'm not sure where they're getting that idea. And then it participates in one match at the Silver Conference, and that is against Gary. And it does impressively beat Magmar. It does do that. But then very shortly after, it loses to Blastoise. So I feel like, it's got that win under its belt, and it does have the Scizor win. It did battle a Scizor and beat it, and that was cool, but that was ultimately like a filler episode, right? Like, that wasn't a big match for Ash. So Heracross is not his ace. Heracross is great, and I actually hate saying this because I actually love Heracross, and I would hate to put any kind of Heracross hate or slander out there. But no, Heracross is not his Johto ace. Charizard is his Johto ace. So you may ask, who would be his Kanto ace? I would not argue with you if you just said Pikachu. Pikachu very well could be his ace in Kanto. It is his, the first region, so I don't see why a starter can't be his ace there. If I had to pick a non-Pikachu option, honestly, it'd be Kingler. Kingler swept a guy in the first round of the Indigo League and then proceeded to be an asset in Ash's next few matches at the Indigo League. In fact, by the way, they had to handicap Kingler for the Silver Conference. I don't know if any of you remember that, but at the Silver Conference, Ash is planning on bringing his Kingler, and then a bunch of Voltorbs fall on Kingler and electrocute it so badly, it can't participate in the match. So they literally had to go, oh man, we have to write off Ash's Kingler for this league. Otherwise, we cannot explain why he would, lose it. So, it's the original, these Voltorb were the original Tobias. You know how in the Sinnoh League, Ash, I'm getting ahead, I'm not there yet in my rewatch, but obviously I've seen this before. I did watch Sinnoh as a child, but and again recently, like I don't know, 3-4 years ago. But in Sinnoh, Ash was bringing back his reserves and using them in the Sinnoh League, and he ends up losing to Tobias, which is a trainer that uses a Darkrai and a Latios. And the big complaint about that has been, like, Ash should have won the Sinnoh League, and they had to put in a trainer using legendary Pokemon, because that was the only way you could make sense of why Ash would lose that league. These Voltorb were the first Tobias. I rest my case, Your Honor. Lumi out.